Hello everyone, this is Orlando from A Collector's Dream. And today we're going to talk a little bit of boxing. And we're going to talk about one of the greatest champions ever in boxing, and that is Jack Johnson. And Jack Johnson, not only was he a boxing legend, but he was also a cultural icon. So this is my Jack Johnson card that I want to share with you today. And this is the 1910 Hassan cigarettes. Jack Johnson, the front view is in the 2.5. There are two different Jack Johnson cards in this set. One of them has him on the side view, basically doing a, like punching, and it has like a green background. And this one is the front view. I'm trying to give you a good look at that card here. And a little bit about Jack Johnson, he was called the Galveston Giant. He wasn't that big. He was a little bit over 6 feet tall, but he was just a very strong man. And he was the heavyweight boxing champion from 1908 to 1915. He was the champion. And overall, in his record, take a good look at Jack Johnson there. His overall record was 72 wins and 11 losses. And the main thing about him is, his record wasn't the best record overall of all the champions. I mean, you got to look at John L. Sullivan as really the top boxer because he never lost. Well, he lost a fight when he came back from retirement, but he was undefeated throughout his bouts. And John L. Sullivan supposedly fought over 400 fights because he would challenge people at bars and things like that. But Jack Johnson, came through, right after John L. Sullivan came James Jeffries. And Jeffries was also champion for a while. And Jeffries was champion he was also undefeated, but he really didn't have that many fights. He had 24 fights, and he lost one, and the one that he lost was to Jack Johnson. And Jeffries came back from his retirement to fight Jack Johnson. It was called the fight of the century because Jack Johnson, of course, was black, and Jeffries came out of retirement to fight him. And, they really made a big deal of the fight. And Jeffries was a strong guy. I'll show you a picture of Jeffries here. There's James Jeffries. So he was a strong guy. But Jack Johnson also was pretty strong. And that's a picture of Jack Johnson in 1915, nicknamed the Galveston Giant. So that was the fight of the century, and it ended up that Jack Johnson ended up winning that fight and became the heavyweight champion. And he faced many other challenges. Let's take a look at the back of the card. And the back is awesome because it tells you some of the statistics. And it says he was born in Galveston, Texas. He was 6'1", weighed 200 pounds. His most important battles, and these are his most important battles. And Klondike was a boxer also he was John Haynes was Klondike. And that's the guy there, and he won against George Lawler. He lost against Joe Shanosky, and you can see on there then he won against Jack Jeffries, and he went on to fight here. And the only time Johnson was ever knocked out was with Joe Shansky in round 3. And these are Hassan cigarette cards. Hassan cork tip cigarettes. And you can see the series. And these Hassan are also nice. There's also Mecca brand cigarettes. This one happens to be the Hassan. But these are great cards. There's a whole bunch of these boxing cards here in the Hassan set, the 1910 different boxers, but Jack Johnson is the main one in the set, and there are 2 cards of Jack Johnson. So the main thing with Jack Johnson was that, he was arrested many times, and, he fought against James Jeffries, who was the Great White Hope. That was the famous Great White Hope. And Jack Johnson, of course, went on to win. Jack Johnson married a white lady, and, there were riots after the fight, after Jack Johnson won in some of the major cities like New York and Philadelphia and places like that. There were riots. Very, very similar to things that Muhammad Ali went through. Jack Johnson was also put in jail because of the, he married a white woman and took her across state and things like that, and those things were illegal. And he did marry twice. He married 2 white women, and they found ways to put him in jail. They said that he was prostituting and things like that, and he really wasn't. He was married to the women. But here's a picture of Jack Johnson with Choinsky, and Choinsky is the only one that ever knocked him out. So here's a picture of both of them. Johnson standing behind Choinsky in 1909. And that was the only time that he was knocked out in his career, was that fight against Choinsky. But other than that, he became the champion. And he was a champion for many, many, many years. And again, the fight of the century was the one against Jeffries. And this is the fight of the century picture in 1910. And it was one of the first fights that was actually on, they actually filmed it or made a film of it. And it was for $100,000. The winner would get $75,000, and the loser would get $25,000. And it was just one of those huge events in the history of the world. It was one of those big events. And here's Jack Johnson again. So eventually, what happened to him is that he was put in jail. He was sentenced to prison, and he was in the penitentiary for, he married his wife, Lucille, and then took her across the state lines and took her to Canada. And he basically was, he had an arrest warrant for him. So when he came back from Canada, he was arrested, put in Leavenworth, and he served his prison sentence there. And then he died in, I think it was 1946, and he died as a felon. He died which he should never have been a felon. But eventually, in 2018, he was finally granted clemency. And here it is here, Donald Trump granted him, Jack Johnson, full and unconditional pardon. So he was given a full pardon. And finally in 2018, and that was one of the things that was just there, one of those that was hanging on his record, him being a felon for no reason at all, but just being married to a white lady. So, he's like I said, he's probably one of the best boxers, not necessarily the best ever, but like a Jackie Robinson, he was one that changed the world and became the first black champion, heavyweight champion. There was another black champion earlier in the lightweight division. That was Gans. But Jack Johnson was the first black heavyweight champion of the world. And a cultural icon, similar to Jackie Robinson. He was, I would consider him the Jackie Robinson of boxing. Before Muhammad Ali also was a cultural icon. So anyway, guys, that's the only card I have to show you today. Wanted to talk to you a little bit about Jack Johnson, show you his card, and just kind of let you know what he had to go through during those tough times back in the 1900s with racism and stuff. So thanks for watching, guys. This is Orlando from A Collector's Dream. Please like and subscribe. leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome, awesome day. I'll catch you on the next one.